What's up, everybody? It's Jordan, and welcome to the Sports Stu Hines Show. And in this video, I want to continue my series of doing a free agency simulation and a 3-round mock draft for each NFL team. I recently just finished a video doing the Carolina Panthers video, so make sure to go check that out. This one is of the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears, would pick 7th overall in the draft, but they traded that pick away last season to trade up to get a quarterback from Ohio State, Justin Fields. So we'll go ahead and get started with this free agency simulation. This simulation will be from fanspeak.com, and this mock draft will be from profootballnetwork.com. So looking at the Bears right here, as we see, the Bears have quite a bit of cap space. They have about $50 million or so in cap space as we head into the offseason. And this is a list of people that could end up re-signing. Obviously, Allen Robinson is on the list. He is not going to end up re-signing with the Chicago Bears. James Daniels, a guard who I think is very good. I feel like they should end up re-signing him. The Bears had one of the worst offensive lines this past season. That's a big reason why Justin Fields kind of struggled at some times. He showed some promise quite a bit, but just his offensive line, they have to give him protection because they do not want him end up being like Joe Burrow. Being a Bengals fan, it sucks to see your quarterback get hit so much, and knowing if you had just a slightly better offensive line, we could possibly be Super Bowl champions. And you don't want that happening to Justin Fields because, if he gets hurt, he's a guy who likes to scramble out of the pocket and everything. Maybe he would get injured. And you have to improve your offensive line for your young future star quarterback in Justin Fields. So we're able to re-sign James Daniels for about $8.5 million for 3 seasons. We'll try to re-sign Nicholas here for about, let's say, 3.5 to 2 years on his contract. Do 85% guaranteed. So offer rejected. Let's see here. We'll go ahead. Let's bump him up just a little bit more. I did 3.5. We'll do 4.5 for him. They feel like he would be, a nice, guy to, keep in Chicago. When you're looking at their, new head coach, well, I was kind of surprised he rejected that one as well. So we'll just continue here. Their new head coach is kind of a defensive-minded guy. So to Sean Gibson, try to re-sign him maybe, let's say, 2.5 for 1 year. I know he's going to, getting older and everything. So percentage guarantee, we do 90 for 2.5 for 1 year. So we're able to get to Sean Gibson, and we were already able to re-sign James Daniels. Pat O'Donnell, he's been their punter for over half a decade now. We're just trying to re-sign him for about, 1.5. It's kind of hard to predict, some of these punter and kicker settings here. We'll do him for a 1-year contract. We'll just do a 100% guarantee, since it's not that much. So we're able to re-sign him. So we're able to re-sign our guard, a aging safety who I think could be a good locker room guy, and our punter who we've had for, I believe, since 2014. So as we look at some of these free agents, in my opinion, you have to look at the offensive line and you have to look at the weapons to give to Justin Fields. We were already able to get James Daniels, and some of these people here I'm really interested in is looking at center. Ben Jones and Ryan Jensen. Ryan Jensen or Ben Jones, I think, would be great additions to this Chicago Bears offensive line and would really help Justin Fields out so much. I want to try Ryan Jensen here. His projected, signing, I believe it's around $9 or $10 million. I'm actually going to give him 11 because at times when you're a team who's kind of rebuilding or has a young team who has potential, you kind of have to overpay them at times. So we're going to go ahead and give Ryan Jensen a 3-year contract, $11 million per season, and a percentage guarantee of 85. I think that would be a great signing for the Chicago Bears here. Looking at some other people, they really need some wide receivers. Devontae Adams, Mike Williams, Chris Godwin, Michael Gallup. Those are kind of the top wide receivers. And then you have DJ Chark, who, in my opinion, he's coming off a season-ending injury, but I feel like he could be good, but he's not going to be as pricey as some of those guys I just mentioned. There could be a scenario where they maybe get DJ Chark and another, nice, underrated wide receiver, another side piece, like a guy like, Cedric Wilson Jr., or maybe a guy like Braxton Berrios or somebody like that. So they really need that true wide receiver number one. So with Mike Williams, Chris Godwin, Gallup available, Chris Godwin and Michael Gallup, both of them were hurt a lot last season. Chris Godwin's coming off a season in the injury. Michael Gallup was hurt for about half the season. I want to try Mike Williams here for about $16 million. We'll do a, 3-year contract. Percentage guarantee will go 80. So see, we're able to sign those guys. We were able to sign both of those guys. Obviously, both of those guys are major additions to the Chicago Bears team. Getting Ryan Jensen and Mike Williams, getting a weapon, a true number one for Justin Fields, and a great offensive lineman for him as well. Also, looking at some of this list here, I feel like I could kind of use maybe a little bit more tackle help, possibly. Karen Robinson, and this night he was released by the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't think that would be a bad signing. Maybe try, let's say, $3 million for him. The 1-year approve-it deal for Cam Robinson. We'll have the percentage guarantee at 90. Then somebody else, I know he might not be what he used to be, but if he's available, I'm kind of interested in him, and that is Malik Hooker. He spent some time in Indianapolis with this, newly, acquired Bills coaching staff. Lots of the guys on this Bears coaching staff, came from Indianapolis. And, Malik Hooker spent a lot of time there in Indy, so I don't think that would be a bad signing at all. A veteran presence, giving a guy who's been around the league for quite some time. I feel like that would be a nice pickup for the Chicago Bears. Let's see, we're able to sign those guys. We were able to sign Malik Hooker, but we were not able to sign Cam Robinson. Let's see how much cap space we have left. We have $16 million. I still am kind of thinking about signing another wide receiver. Let's go ahead and maybe try that. DJ Chark, that would be a nice addition, but him and Mike Williams, I don't think that's likely. Russell Gage is great. Would be a great signing. Cedric Wilson Jr., like I mentioned. Josh Reynolds, he was pretty good during his short stint in Detroit this past season. Adam Humphries, John Brown. There's not a ton of wide receivers. It's so weird because it's like there's either a really, really good receiver or there's just a man receiver. There's not really any guys who fit the in between. I kind of want to try Cedric Wilson Jr. It seems like pretty much every single video I have him sign with somebody. But that's really because I think he could be possibly be the best free agency signing for any team this season. Spotrac has him projected signing for 3 years, $19 million. That is an absolute steal, in my opinion. And I feel like if anybody offers him that and he accepts it, that is an amazing signing for that team. Let's go ahead and try him, I guess. We'll try $6.5 million for 3 seasons. Since guarantee will go 80. If they get him, that's a terrific signing. Him and Mike Williams. All of a sudden, last season we're talking about Justin Fields having no weapons, so now we're talking about him getting Mike Williams and Cedric Wilson Jr. along with they already have Mooney. I feel like that would be a great addition and really help Justin Fields out. He accepts our offer for $6.5 million for 3 years. $11 million left in cap space. I would kind of like to get an offensive lineman. This tackle group is not really good, like I mentioned on some videos before. This interior offensive line group is much better than the tackle group. Let's see here. Wow, some of these guards have already been taken. AJ Kane, I believe he's already gone. And when you look at some of these guys, they're interesting, like Andrew Norwell and Brendan Sharif. But those guys want to get $13, $14 million. And I don't think the Bears would pay that much for him because they already signed the top tier guy in Mike Williams. They already re-signed one of their own and James Daniels. So looking at it here, maybe they could sign a guy like Austin Corbett or maybe a guy like Connor Williams. We'll try Connor Williams here for $6 million for 2 seasons. percentage guarantee 85. So, Connor Williams and Cedric Wilson Jr., both those guys coming from Dallas, and we're already able to get Wilson, and we are now able to get Connor Williams. So 2 guys coming from Dallas to Chicago. Chicago has about $6 million left, and you almost save about 4 or 5 for draft picks. I'm just going to kind of leave this money how it is right here. Maybe they can sign somebody else in free agency, who knows. But I feel like for the most part, we were really able to help this, Bears team throughout free agency. We re-signed James Daniels. We were able to re-sign Tashawn Gibson and Pat O'Donnell, their punter. We were also able to sign Mike Williams, Ryan Jensen, Malik Hooker, Cedric Wilson Jr., and Connor Williams. I feel like that's a very, very nice free agency. And all of a sudden, we're looking at the Chicago Bears team, and depending what happens with the Packers, all that, Aaron Rodgers debacle and everything, there's a chance the Bears could possibly, be in contention to end up winning the NFC North in 2022, which is crazy, because, their offensive line was just so bad this past season. But when you look at the additions we were able to have and, get Justin Fields some top weapons, it possibly could happen. So looking at this, now we're on the, mock draft simulator on Pro Football Network. Like I said, the Chicago Bears do not have a first-round pick because they traded that with the New York Giants last season to get Justin Fields. So as we're looking here on defense, Christian Harris, the linebacker from Alabama, that would be a great pick at a 39th selection overall. Drake Jackson, the edge from USC. Looking at some of the offensive tackles, let's see here. Guards, Zion Johnson from Boston College is really, really good. I don't know how you pronounce his name. The guy from Central Michigan, Bernhard Rainman. I think it's probably going to be around where he goes. Like I said, we are not really able to get a tackle in free agency. I feel like he'll be a terrific addition here. We're going to go ahead and take him with a 39 selection overall. And looking at this Bears team here, let's see how many picks they have. They have only 1 third-round pick. So let's see here who we can get in the 3rd round. We're just kind of looking at wide receivers. I know we're not probably going to get one, but George Pickens, Justin Ross, Alec Pierce, all those guys are terrific, options at 71. If we did not already take 2 really nice wide receivers in free agency. Nick Benito, the edge from Oklahoma, that would be a terrific value pick at the 71st pick overall. Look at some of these, guys in the secondary here. Kobe Bryant, the corner from Cincinnati, that would be a nice pick as well. When you look at this team and the Chicago Bears, they're having to go against, Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson, twice a year, obviously when they play Minnesota. And we don't know what's going to happen next for Devontae Adams. You would think that he would be with Green Bay, but, who knows? You have to play him twice a year. You have been for years. In this Lions team, they don't have any, star wide receiver, but they have, a decent wide receiver group. I want to take Kobe Bryant here. Like I said, this coaching staff is a defensive-minded coaching staff. I feel like they want to improve their secondary a little bit here. And getting Kobe Bryant, the corner from Cincinnati, terrific pick there in the 3rd round. And also getting Rayman, I might be saying that wrong. The offensive tackle from Central Michigan with the 39th selection. Both those picks are, in my opinion, absolute steals for the Chicago Bears and terrific value picks. They're getting position needs, and they're great value picks, and they're probably, honestly, best player overall. And that's what you want when you draft somebody. You always want best player available and best overall. So looking at this Bears 2022, schedule here, going off of what we did in free agency and in the draft, we'll kind of look at this, Bears schedule and see how many wins they might be able to get in the 2022 season. So I kind of take these in 4 here, groups of 4. We have Washington, the Lions, Packers, and Vikings. Based off, what we did in free agency and in the offseason, I think the Bears can win 2 of those games. The next section here, we have the Eagles, Bills, Dolphins, and Cowboys. I feel like they can win 2 of those. So that's 4 wins so far. We have the Lions, Packers, Vikings, and Patriots. I think they win 1 of those games. So that's 5. And then to cap it off, we have the Giants, Jets, Falcons, Texans, and 49ers. I feel like they can win 3 or 4 of those. So that's about 8 or 9 wins for the Chicago Bears team, which I think is, really great. If you get 8 or 9 wins in Justin Fields' second season and his first, really full season starting, because, this past season, we saw Nick Foles play at times and Andy Dalton play at times. So if you get 8 or 9 wins with Justin Fields' first full year starting for a Chicago Bears team who doesn't have a great offensive line, I feel like that's very, very good. Who knows? Depending what happens in the NFC North, there's a chance that the Chicago Bears have a realistic shot at winning the NFC North in a 2022 season. So that's kind of my video of doing a pre-agency simulation for the Chicago Bears from Fanspeak.com and also a 3-round mock draft from ProFootballNetwork.com. If you're new to the channel, or if you've seen my videos before, make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I would really, really appreciate it. And I will see you all next time on the Sports Dude Hines Show.